beauty of this stuff is it's easy to get in and out of.
Roughly a minute to lay one of these rolls down.
Hello and welcome to Mining Now. I'm your host, Jared Downey. Today on the show, we have a third part in a three-part series with Inland Tarp. We've got Leo Cortez. He is the RCR product manager. He's back on the show. He was on with the first episode, if I've got my memory right, with you were on with William Powell, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Back in West Tech.
And then William, right. And then, we're actually heading there next week. And then William Powell came on again, and now we've got Kevin Barry. You are the West Coast representative of Inland Tarp and Liner. Is that right?
Correct. Yep. West Coast, Arizona bound.
Nice. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, so let's jump into it. Who wants to just give the brief overview of who Inland Tarp is, just for anybody who doesn't know?
It's interesting. I've been with Inland Tarp for about a year now. My background is in the tarp business for retail. And that's how I came into Inland Tarp. Well, Inland Tarp started 40 years ago in the tarp business. That's where they started at. And then they got in the oil and gas industry with their geomembranes, and now they're in the erosion control business. So that is kind of the stages that Inland Tarp has gone through to get to where they are today. So I got brought in for the tarp stuff, and they do so much more stuff than just tarp business. And I've kind of had to learn all that. And I've kind of followed Leo's lead on that because he's been in the business for a lot longer than I have. I was, again, in the retail part of it for about 28 years. So.
Wow. How long has the push been into the mining sector specifically? Or I guess another way of asking is how early on, maybe Leo, I don't know if you have insight on this, on how quickly you realize this is a big potential sector for us.
Yeah, we've done most of the kind of like going off of what Kevin said. Majority when we started our business was in the agricultural market. So we did, all of our focus was there. We got into working with the GCCM product. GCCM is just an acronym for geosynthetic cementitious composite mat. It's a mouthful. So GCCM. And then our specific GCCM product is a reinforced concrete roll. RCR for short. We got into the GCCM market with our RCR roughly 5 years ago, and it was kind of a shotgun approach to the GCCM market. Being heavy in agriculture, where I'm located up in the northwestern part of the U.S., no brainer for lining channels and things in the agricultural department there. Anytime you go up on a slope, it's just your ROI is huge because you don't have to use a shotcrete or try and do paddle in traditional concrete or using different types of rip wrap or something. You just lay the carpet down and you got yourself a layer of concrete. We approached different markets, and we ran into nobody really had experience in the mining industry. We came across somebody who wanted to use it for originally, I believe the first project we did was berm protection.
Oh, right.
And they had a tailings pond, and they were like, hey, here's our issue with this tailings pond is that we're up in the mountains, got high winds. So the, constantly have that wind erosion. We also have they use a lot of water. It was an open pit mine. He goes, our water level is constantly fluctuating. So we get that water erosion going on, because for that reason. And then we also have the wave action. He goes, so we need to find a way to armorize this berm. And then their piezometers were also picking up moisture. Moisture was increasing in the berm. So they wanted to get just a good protective layer over the top of it. They seen our product. They asked us if it was, it has to be MSHA approved. So we went down that road. RCR is now a MSHA approved certified product. It is approved to be stored actually down in the mines. And yeah, we kicked that project off. And as your audience is aware, everything in the mining industry is huge.
Yeah,
So I was
massive
like, yeah,
project. I was seeing some pictures of it. It is that's quite a spectacle.
It was a busy one. It was a
100
great one.
I was reading about it. It was like 100 foot. It was 100 foot berm, right, or 100 foot slope.
Yeah, it's about 100 foot slope. I was about 2 to 1, I believe, somewhere around there. It needed to be done quickly. Again, it was a freshwater side of their tailings pond. Water was crucial for their business, so they were able to take the water level down temporarily, but we needed to get the project done quick.
So it was separated. So the tailing side was separated from the freshwater side by this place that you were reinforcing.
Yes, sir.
Essentially.
Yes,
I see. Right,
Yep.
Kevin. I just wanted to quickly ask you. You're out talking to people when you're trying to, because Inland does so many other products as well. Does this get? This is not really a tack on to other projects, so this is pretty specific, right?
It is. It's separate from, our other stuff. We do the liner business, of course, and we do some geotextile stuff. But yeah, this is a separate product, different applications. Some people do, depending on the application.
What is the opposite of this tool, of this approach?
Well, traditional concrete. The beauty of this stuff is it's easy to get in and out of. There's some real difficult areas to bring concrete into, and concrete companies just won't deal with it. So when we present this to them, it's easy to get a single truckload into some of the areas that they're dealing with. And then it's kind of one of the selling points we use for the product.
How long has it been on the market?
It's 5 years now.
5. Okay, sorry. Yeah, you said.
Yeah, we've had it here in the U.S. for about 5 years, but the actual concept has been around for a few decades as far as using a concrete impregnated fabric. So yeah, there's going off of kind of what Kevin said too. It's a 1/2 inch of concrete. It is reinforced, so it doesn't chip apart or fragment off like traditional concrete, but it is only a 1/2 inch of concrete, so it doesn't have the 100% impermeable for water. So if you did if you had some type of chemical or something where you needed 100% containment, then like Kevin's saying, you can pair it with a liner.
So you line underneath and then roll the concrete over.
Yeah, if you needed it. A majority of the projects that we do, the permeability of our material RCR is like 6 to the 8th decimal. So you don't get any, the flow through it. It will get damp, kind of sweaty on the underlayer.
Yeah, Kevin, you look like you were going to jump in there.
Yeah, water's not going to beat up on the bottom of it and drip off of it. It just basically turns, a gray color. So
right. I see. What are the applications that it could be used for in the mining space besides the tailings ponds?
So you want to speak to the one we just did, Kevin, the spillway?
Yeah, we do. We just Leo and I were just out on a job last week. We did a spillway in the state of Colorado, and they've got ponds that they fill certain times of the year, and when those ponds get filled up, then they need a place to release it. So we did probably close to a 400-foot spillway that came off, and yeah, they use it for other applications for that as well.
What would the time be like doing a project like that with traditional concrete? I guess the alternative is you don't concrete it. You basically just build a trench.
That's what the initial bid was on this, is they wanted traditional concrete shotcrete in there, and there was just no concrete companies who wanted to get out there and deal with it or anything. So when we presented this to them, they kind of went, and I would say it took a year and a half to kindly see the way on it. And once they saw how easy it was to install and use, and boy, the cost savings, they kind of just jumped all over it. So yeah,
well, that leads to an interesting thing is what are they why do people not do it? Like what? Like you said, it takes a year. Is it just that it's different? They don't have a reference
Well,
point of it.
they have their own processes. They have to go through bid processing and stuff like that. And when the money's available, yeah, some of these are state projects and stuff like that. So
Right.
you got to wait till the money's available. Yeah, it's just based on their timing when they're ready to do it. And that's when we jump on it. So
Are there any concerns that people have though? Because I've been trying to do this more on the show, is realizing that I'm asking my questions, but there might be common questions that people have. Are there any that stand out?
It's what Leo does, and this is great. And that's why I lean on him, because it's kind of relatively new. People are unsure about it. So projects that we've done, we've actually invited people out to see how effective it is. So we invite people out. Here's a project we've done. Take a look at it. So it's something that you got to show and tell, kind of. You look, Leo's on ASTM board. Once they see it, and the more and more we get it out there, the more and more people want to try it.
Yeah, I think a big part, we do get asked a lot about, the details on installation, installation techniques, just never having dealt with a material. A lot of them haven't really dealt with once you say concrete, you automatically switch over to coming out of a truck and using a paddle and stuff to finish it, not realizing that it is just a rolled erosion control product. I mean, it unrolls just like a carpet or paper towels. I mean, it's long, it's 16 feet wide, and we can get them in different lengths, but and it is heavy. It's roughly 3 pounds per square foot, so it's not a light material. So it's explaining to them a lot of the basics like that, like, hey, this is we'll just carry it down over here. Maybe not going to carry it.
Right.
You're going to need a piece of equipment.
We'll just grab our little forklift and put it over there. And
show up and you tell them, hey, the roll weighs roughly 3,000 pounds, and they show up with a little baby mini excavator, and you're like,
right.
That's not going to do.
They're not going to do in the mining industry. They're going to. I mean, they don't have little tools like that. But
Leo, the mining industry, they'd probably have what you need. Going back to that tailings pond, did they, on a project like that, do you have a comparable of what that would take to concrete line that specific? Because that was what, 100? No, that was long.
120 rolls, I think it was.
Yeah,
wow.
So
what would it take? Do you have any concept of what that would take to line with concrete?
Yeah, you would. I mean, and each project is so different, because like with that one, you would go into, what's the price of concrete in that area? And then two, the labor, because it would be a specialized project that you probably wouldn't do with your own maintenance crew. 90% of the projects we do, they aren't, they're done with their team. So the DOTs do it, just with their maintenance crew, and it's not you don't need any special equipment really to, just unroll it and spray it with water. So
like, how long would that project take? How long did that specific project take?
I told them it would have it done in a little less time than they actually gave for the project, but I want to say they gave like 26 days, and they ended up getting it done in 19. I think it was 19 days by the time they hydrated it. So it came in, they made it under budget, and, shaved a couple of days off of it. And that was because we ran into some issues with that project. We lost a day because when we first started, we'd originally did the walkthrough, and they said that it would be okay to park the crane up on the berm. That would have made just sound like, we'll just wipe out this little side of it and we can park the crane up there. It didn't work out that way. Once we started crawling out there with it, it was
a little soft.
We just didn't feel safe. It's like, it's probably not the safest way. So let's go and do it from the bottom of the backside, which required us to kick out the stinger, and then they didn't bring all the parts for that. So it's your typical construction project.
Yeah.
So show up and, hey, surprise. So,
who's actually doing the install? Is Inland actually installing it?
No, we do not do any installations. We don't have an installation team. What we have is Kevin or I showing up.
Oh, I see.
Basically being there to walk you through, but hey, best practices. Hey, you might want to do it this way, or check this approach out. But a lot of the times, that's once they find out that, oh, that's it. You just unroll it and spray water on it, huh? They cut it with a knife. Oh yeah, we got it. That's no issue. So we help out up front with the design process and the layout, and we'll provide drawings and stuff. But we just like to be there, to answer any questions.
What you mentioned the weather when. Like that environment is an ever-changing environment. I think I saw snow, rain, wind, all that. What is happening when you're trying to roll it out though, and it's getting hit with rain, or do you have to stop?
No, you can. So as long as it's not a heavy downpour, then you're all right. I mean, you have 90 minutes roughly to work with it before it starts, the curing process. So it takes you roughly a minute to lay one of these rolls down. What you want to do, though, is if it is a continual rain, you'll want to cover the edge of it, because the seaming process for our material is thermal fusion welding.
Oh, okay.
So when you lay one piece off, if you're going to stop for that night and start hydrating, what you've done already, you just want to cover the last, 18 inches with some type of plastic material so it doesn't get wet overnight. And then in the morning, you can just lay the new piece right over the top of it. It'll lay right on top. It'll seam nice and easy. We also dealt with high winds when we were doing that project. Was a little bit challenging.
I guess that would be one of those things hanging, because I saw the picture of the crane with once that's hanging off that wind, that's like a parachute almost.
Oh yeah. The thing is, I mean, at being 3 pounds per square foot, it's a lot easier to handle in the wind than say a sheet of PVC or something like that. Yeah. So it lays down pretty flat. I mean, Mother Nature will do whatever she wants. So if you get a nice gust of wind, it will pick that up and roll it over, but at least it won't send it up in the air flying like a kite.
Kevin, I wanted to ask you about reaching these markets. It's not that easy. There's probably 1,000 mines that need the product.
Correct.
How do you get to talk to those 1,000 mines though?
Trade shows. We've got a distributor network set up in the West, actually all over the country and internationally, but trade shows are real effective ways to meet these engineers. So we meet them at trade shows. Our distributors have got relationships with these mines. The mines are very regulated, and sometimes just getting onto a mine with your certification, everything takes a lot, but a lot of our distributors have relationships there, and we kind of lean on those relationships to get stuff done. But trade shows are a great way to do it as well. So
both of you, what are some applications that people have said, hey, can I use it for this? Just to wrap up the interview, where you got to say, no, let's not be doing that.
Well, we had a real unique one, Leo, just yesterday, right? State of Montana, customer calls up, and our applications are mines, culverts, tailing ponds, roadside washouts, and stuff like that. This guy had to cover up asbestos on his floor, and it's a big area, and he's going to apply that layer down first before he goes further. So which we thought was kind of a unique application. It will work for that, but kind of a different application than what
he's using it more like a sealer. He's more sealing in than keeping water out almost.
There's more of I think he's got more doing like creating a layered approach to it. It's something he just shot out there, and basically it was kind of we told him we need more details and find out exactly. We come across stuff like this all the time where it's like, okay, explain it to us once again. And once you get with asbestos, you're like, hey, all right, hold on. You probably need to talk to the EPA. But he's like, no, this is a state funded project. We need to create this layer. We need something basically to hard armor, and hard armor the flooring. And I think he's using it as, part of a layered method that they're using to it. But it was yeah, that was like, well, that's something we never came across. Yeah, we come across stuff like this all the time.
I'm wondering, what about I'm sure I'm not the first person to ask about going, like, putting it down on a flat surface and essentially driving over top of it.
We do get a lot of that. It's people ask how strong it is. It's 3,000 psi on the 7 millimeters thick and 3,900 psi on the 12 millimeter. People ask if they can make a basketball court with it, and we're like, well, that's not really the application for it, but we get that a lot. It's not a structural material. It's for erosion control.
Right.
We really push that part of it.
Because water kind of provides a spread out pressure on something, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you take a little tire and run, let's say you put it over top of a little gravel driveway or something, there would be all that flexibility in it, right?
You're fine. You can actually drive a Ford F-150 over the product. But you're not going to use it for bridges and walls and stuff like that.
Oh, but you could drive on it.
Yeah, so being a concrete guy, I mean, one thing we definitely want to push for is making sure that you get the right solution to whatever problem that you're trying to attack. So, making sure that will it work for some instances? Yes. Is that your best product to use for their,
right? I see.
Later, let's look at other options. RCR is great for a lot of things. Using it as a driveway, then you're about the same as traditional concrete.
Oh, I see.
With the traditional concrete, you're getting 4 inches. You're getting a flat surface. You can make it slope the way you want to, which you could also do with RCR. But the subgrade preparation would be critical.
It's going to form, right?
It is going to form to exactly how it is. We've had applications where we've used it, and they've wanted to slow down the velocity of water coming out of, say, like a culvert, and they've actually put PVC piping or something underneath it to help, so it creates that form, and it slows.
That's
it down.
So interesting. I was just listening to because of these municipalities. Actually, we were talking just about Eastern Canada before we started the show. That there's places, I was making fun of their accents. Not you guys. I was doing it. I'm Canadian. I'm allowed to. But they're like in places like Toronto, you hear these stories about water popping up through like people's basements. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. Yeah. Because what they've done is they've rerouted these waterways, but these waterways essentially have memory. They know that this is where it's supposed to go through. And so they've been doing it in China. They did it in, I think, Seattle. They've done it. They're actually putting in curvatures in that. So when you said that, it reminded me of that, is that there was this idea almost to just like straight get water moving. And now people are realizing, no, we got to slow the water down. Just an hour outside of here in Chilliwack and Abbotsford, we had I don't know if you ever heard of that. There was a terrible flood that filled up because the valley used to be a lake. Well, the rain came and a pump didn't work, and it was a lake again. Just like that.
We just came off of a mine. I was at one last month that it's in the remediation phase. I mean, it has been since, I think he said 2006 is when they started it. And they're starting to have a lot of, water's redirecting itself, and you got different little tributaries coming into the main channel where that channel was feeding into their containment pond. They actually had a huge erosion issue. So, there was no use to just build it back up when it was going to do the same thing. And they weren't going to go up and try to redirect all the water, upstream. So we just lined the last like 200 feet of that channel. They rebuilt it. We lined it with, concrete lined the channel, and then concrete lined a few of the incoming little feeder streams or kind of tributaries coming into it. And it worked perfect. And because it was remediation, it was in a real foresty area. To help break up some of that velocity too, because it was a pretty decent slope. They put rocks, a few big rocks in there,
and then you just lay it over top, and then, that's neat.
Yeah,
you can do it either way, under the material or over the material.
I see.
The original, so their problem was erosion. their original plan for fixing it and what they had done in the past was just to bring in a bunch of rock and line that. But he was like, it's not working. Didn't work here the first time they did it. It's not,
Well, because water provides a continual pressure to an area. So as soon as it goes into a point, it's going to keep working away at that, and over time, water will win. It takes a while.
Definitely. So they ended up. I mean, just the time on putting it to I was out there helping them with the installer. Like I said, we like to be part of all of them as much as possible, and the their operators were like, how long this would have taken us to get rock all the way out here and down. We would have been doing this all summer long. And
I think they're still. This is a few years ago. I think they're still moving rock out in Chilliwack. It's crazy.
Exactly.
I'm not joking. They've been at it if you drive, and then there was a fire and a flood over the Coquihalla. So you drive. There's just every type of machine you've ever seen along that 3-hour drive. It's just crazy. And I don't know what the cost is. It must be billions of dollars. But I feel like even in municipalities that are trying to like almost revitalize these, these curved waterways through the communities, that would be your product would essentially work for that to offer structure.
Yep. Like we would go back to, any kind of flat work, driveways or anything like that. Maybe not the best application for the material, but anytime you go up on a curve or any kind of channel like that, I mean, it just, it's your ROI is amazing. So we've been using it in a lot of municipalities down south where they have a lot of erosion issues and.
Interesting. Well, that's
I've even been approached by HOAs in these horse communities because there's no paved roads out there. They have dirt roads for miles. Well, they have all these little cutouts coming into the road, and it kind of just erodes the road. And they also get that washboard effect.
Yeah, that's what I grew up. I grew up on a dirt road. That's when we had horses. That's exactly. Yeah.
So I've even been approached by HOAs looking at the product. So.
Yeah, because those roadways, those dirt roadways with the washboard, but they curve, and a lot of times they're built along a little river or a creek, and then there's all these tributaries. So the road will curve. There'll be a culvert, and then it only literally takes a couple trees to block that waterway, and boom, the whole thing's out, right? So well, we got a little bit away from mining, but I'm sure anybody listening will have some ideas now. Gentlemen, thank you very much for doing the show. Thanks for going off on the rabbit trails with me, because it is an interesting product, but it's also one of those products where you kind of see it as a single application and then kind of just miss some of it. So thanks for actually covering some other ones, because I think it does sort of jar people's minds to go, oh yeah, I have a riverbed right beside that keeps eroding. I'm hauling in rocks every year. I could literally slow down the water, roll this out, and be done with this nonsense. I'm from BC, so we've had some real issues with this stuff. So quite interesting. Gentlemen, thank you very much for the show. I hope we're going to do it again. It was great having you on.
Yes, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Time.
Yeah, good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Come back on, Leo. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
And thank you, everybody, for watching. Of course, we'll have links to Inland Tarp and Liner. We'll have both guests. I just want to double check. You both have LinkedIn, right?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yeah, so there'll be a link in the description if you want to connect directly with them. Of course, please subscribe and follow on whatever channel you're watching this on. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you on the next episode of Mining Now.